And welcome to another video. Today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about being uninspired or burnout or not being able to decide on what you want to draw, because it happens to all of us sometimes. At least I think it does. It happens to me. So the reason I specifically wanted to talk about for this piece was because lately I have been feeling pretty spread thin, and then as a result that can kind of lead to burnout. It can kind of lead to feeling uninspired, and it can also lead to, even when I have stuff that I know that I have planned to draw, for example the goddess series that I'm doing, sometimes if you are feeling sort of burnt out, even those plans cannot feel very appealing. And at least for me, it makes me kind of reluctant to jump on that. And so one way that I try and combat that lack of inspiration is by allowing myself to sometimes just start drawing, even if I am kind of judging myself and thinking like, oh, this thing that I'm starting to draw, it's just a portrait. It's just, there's nothing really inspired about it. It's just yet another character. You know, like this piece, I started drawing her just because, for me, I enjoy drawing portraits of random new original characters, especially if they are fantasy based. But sometimes I don't really have like a backstory to them. I've never drawn them before, so they're not an established OC. Maybe there's no deep meaning behind them when I start drawing. And sometimes I can judge myself for that. But at the same time, occasionally when I'm feeling really burnt out, those are the only types of artworks that I actually am motivated to do. But the cool thing about just letting yourself draw these more simple and sometimes what you at first deem to be uninspired, or simple, uninspired, and just like not special. That sounds so like rude to say about your own artwork, but you know, we're our own worst critics. The cool thing about sometimes doing that is that it can turn into something that is more special as you go through the process. And sometimes it will turn into some of your best works. I mean, you have to be okay with it if it doesn't always turn into one of your best works. But you know, this piece, the more I was working on it, the more I was drawing it, it was kind of a discovery process, which is always kind of fun when you are drawing and you don't necessarily have a plan in mind. And so it's kind of like you're learning more and more. You're getting to know this new character that you've never drawn before, and you're starting to imagine, who is this? What's their backstory? What's the lore? And then as that happens, it makes the process more and more and more exciting, because you are also imagining this brand new story that goes with what you thought was going to be just a simple little illustration or drawing or sketch or whatever it is. And that's exactly what happened with this piece to me. Is started out as something simple. I thought, it's just going to be like a simple portrait. And it is a fairly simple portrait. But the more that I worked on it, the more I imagined, maybe not necessarily who is this character, but I imagined the lore of the world that this character lives in and what type of like creature she is. And so I'm going to read a little bit that I wrote about her to you, and it's always fun to add a little bit of written lore to go along with these types of pieces. In the frozen heart of winter, soft snowflakes drift down, coating the forest in white and ice. The winter seems to exaggerate the stillness and peace of the forest, for this blanket of snow muffles all of the usual noise of echoing birds and snapping twigs. It is in this quiet that wakes the mysterious winter fae who have slumbered through the warmer months, the noise of summer and spring acting as their lullaby. But now, with not a sound to be heard under the hushed snow, they wake, appearing as if from the ice and snow itself. So that was just a little snippet of writing that went with this piece that I was imagining as I was discovering more and more about the world that this character lives in. It's very simple and, short, but it kind of gives a little bit of lore to go along with the artwork, which I always enjoy. I think it's just a fun little addition, and it's not something that would have happened necessarily with some of the artworks that I have planned out completely. And the cool thing about this, and I say this all the time on stream, is that ideas spawn ideas. So this one piece of artwork that I started because I was burnt out of working on anything else actually has led me to imagine more and more ideas about either this race, fairy artworks, maybe the world. If I continue down this path, there's just more and more and more ideas spurred from this one piece that I did that I thought was uninspired, but actually, maybe it was uninspired to begin with, but it leads to inspiration, if that makes sense. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of ramble with the artwork, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. I'll talk to you later. Bye!